The Tao of Self-Confidence, episode 898. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. You can now purchase The Tao of Self-Confidence, a guide to moving beyond trauma and awakening the leader within on Amazon, Barnes & Noble's, Walmart, Indigo, and other major book retailers. Get your copy today. Well, hello, friend. Welcome to The Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have an amazing lady on the show today. We actually met through the US Pack Wise cohort. She is a lavender farmer and essential oil alchemist, and I'm super excited to have her on today to share her story on self-confidence. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Steffny Wallace. Hi, Steffny. How are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to the listeners.
Hi, it's really nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Background was not as a lavender farmer. My background actually, for many, many years, 30 plus years, was as a TV producer in the advertising industry. And then segued over into lavender farming, largely because of, interestingly, spiritual guidance for both my husband and I. So hence, that's where the alchemy part comes in. But it's been a very interesting journey, and it's, I think, an interesting story.
Thanks for sharing that. And I love how you went from media to lavender farming, right? Some people would be like, why would you do that? You know, you had a great career, but I mean, you followed your heart, you followed what was in alignment with you, and here you are today. So I'm really excited to hear a little bit more about that. And Steffny, what's your cultural background?
Ancestry is Scots and Danes, actually. Yeah. Yes, mostly from that part of the world, but a culture very much of work hard and you can achieve and do anything if you just work hard enough. And I don't know that I'm necessarily such an advocate of that, because I think we tend to get sold this bill of goods that if we only work harder, things will get better. And I just don't believe that's true. So yeah, I've had a little bit of overcoming of that particular bit of heritage wisdom.
Thanks for sharing that. And that's actually the same wisdom as Asian culture, right? If you work hard, you'll get rewarded. I mean, working hard is important, but it's also important to work smart while working hard. I've seen a lot of people who work hard and it's still in the same position. And so, yeah, for me, I agree with you. Like, sometimes we work hard and we don't really know what we're working hard towards to.
Well, and we get so caught up in the hard work part and the and achieving the goal that we forget about what I think is personally really important that's coming to the fore now, which is self-care. And for me, I began to realize very early on that starting the morning with gratitude and meditation and some calmness completely changed my day.
I love that. Well, thanks for sharing that great morning routine. And what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
My favorite self-confidence quote is actually one that I made up myself, and it's and it so it shifts as I move through my life. But what I've realized is that the better I know myself, the more confident I become. So I think knowing yourself, I think confidence is a byproduct of really knowing who you are.
I love that quote. And, it's so true. Like having that inner knowing, showing up as your best self, that's how you can build that confidence. So thanks for sharing that great quote. And in your own words, how do you define self-confidence?
Self-confidence for me is again back to just knowing myself, being able to feel really comfortable in my own skin, which allows you to be in any kind of situation and feel comfortable. And confidence is just being comfortable and being able to see what you feel, say what you feel, and be who you are. And frankly, not worry how it's going to be received by anybody else.
I love that definition and thanks for sharing that. And, Stephanie, what was your life like before you discovered self-confidence?
Well, I think my life before discovering self-confidence, and as I said, it's an ongoing growth process, but I think it's very similar to everyone else's. It's suboptimal, right? You don't achieve as much as you wish you could have, and if you do achieve that, you have imposter syndrome because you really don't believe you deserve it, or you really don't believe you actually achieved it as well as you could have. It's a feeling of discomfort, really. And I think once you know who you are, or at least have a pretty good idea, and you feel that comfort with yourself and that self-confidence, your whole life shifts. Your exterior world shifts, but your interior world shifts the most. And that's the primary key.
Thanks for sharing that. And it's so true. I think imposter syndrome is something that we all go through, right? We just feel like, especially for women, we feel like we're not good enough. There's someone better out there. Even though we're more than capable for that task, something still holds us back because we just feel like our self-worth is low, right? And so it's really important to remind ourselves, that we are capable, we can make things happen. And even if we don't know what we're doing, we can always figure it out along the way. So I know a lot of women out there who are listening to this can also relate to, having imposter syndrome. I still go through it. And I think it's normal to go through that just because we're human, we're not perfect. And, we just work on it every single day. And what was that point in your life when you realized you were more than enough to go out there and be who you are today? What was that aha moment?
I'm going to circle back to imposter syndrome just for a second, because really the only reason we have imposter syndrome is because we're comparing ourselves to other people. And that's where we really need to stop and take a minute. The moment we hold ourselves up and feel like we're less than someone else is a moment to stop and really go back interiorly and just go, I'm good enough and I'm fine. And what do I want? And it doesn't matter what anyone else in the world is doing. And it doesn't matter what anyone else in the world thinks about us. And that's huge. I mean, for me, it came probably midway through my career as a producer, because I suddenly realized, people were actually looking to me for the answers because that's what producers do. And for me to feel like I didn't have them was silly, because as far as everyone else knew, I had them. And and if I didn't, to your point, I just punted until I did. So it's a moment of realization that you actually know more than you think you do. And that's where I think a lot of us falter is we really need to give ourselves more credit.
I love that. And it's so true. We do know more than we think we do. And, I know one of the reasons why as women we have low self-confidence is due to inaction. We resist a lot. We want everything to be perfect to the T. And that really stops us from taking action. It's okay to make mistakes. We can course correct. If we don't know the answer, we can always find the answer. Like you mentioned, right? You will point them to the right direction. And, you'd be surprised the results that you get as you just keep on taking action, taking imperfect action and building that confidence as you go. And so I love that you were able to share that. And because of that, what's your life been like now?
Well, I'm not saying my life, I am a perfectionist. So when I say it's an ongoing growth process, it really is, because I still struggle with that. And I sometimes have to stand back and go, wait a minute, this is good enough. And for me personally, that's a very hard thing to say. It's good enough is just like, oh, no, it can't be good enough. But but the learning and the growth and the expansion and the aha and the wonder and all of the juicy, great stuff, to your point, comes from just stepping forward. So I just step forward, and I do it every day in every way. Every time I feel myself pulling back a little bit because it's not the perfect thing, I have to look at it and say, according to who? Because according to a lot of people, it is perfect. And my life does look great. And it's only an interior set of goals that you set up that make you think that. So yeah, just look in the mirror and give yourself a lot of credit, ladies. It's really something we don't do enough.
I love that. I know sometimes we just need to give ourselves a hug, a pat on the back, a high five saying, you did a great job. And it's important to do that, right? Because we feel like we always have to please everybody or we have to do the next thing when, like you mentioned, it's good enough or more than enough. We can go out there and make it. So I love that tip that you mentioned. And if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do and, check out some of the things you're doing at the Lavender Farm, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
You can just find me under Steffny Wallace on LinkedIn, but you can also find a lot of information on our website. It's called Triskele Organics. It's Triskele organics.com. And you can reach me through the website. You can reach me through LinkedIn. And I would love to talk to anybody that wants to reach out.
Thanks for sharing that. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Steffny, you can also head on over to the taoselfconfidence.com and search for Steffny's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else that we talked about. And I really just want to thank Steffny today for taking the time to share her story and tips with us on self-confidence. So thank you so much, Steffny.
Thank you, honey. It's really been nice to be here.
Not a problem. Such an honor to have you on our show. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence. You can order your copy of Asian Women Who Boss Up book by visiting our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.